Hey, okay, well, review time again today, and today's movie is Autopsy from 2008, directed and co-written by Adam Gierasch, who also co-wrote and acted in Tobe Hooper's remake of The Toolbox Murders in 2004, where he plays a character called Ned Lundy. Yeah. Now, you can probably tell from that what sort of movie this is going to be. It's silly, it's gory, and it's something to do on a Sunday for an hour and 24 minutes. If it reminded me of anything, it's probably an overly graphic version of a Hammer movie, basically. There's lots of ham with a side order of ham, sprinkling of ham, and, you get the idea. The story itself is pretty simple. A bunch of college students go to Mardi Gras somewhere in Louisiana. They get intoxicated, go for a drive, and boom, they crash the car. One thing then leads to another, and they find a guy in a hospital gown. An ambulance comes to pick him up, and they all end up going to Mercy Hospital, where the meat of the story takes place. The hospital itself is almost deserted and run by an insane surgeon, assisted by a sycophantic, equally deranged head nurse and two other nurses who turn out to be ex-cons. And before you know it, madness ensues. There's lots of blood, lots of running around corridors, and we meet some of the patients already at the hospital who are basically ruined from what the surgeon, Dr. Benway, which is a nice nod to Naked Lunch by William S. Burroughs, read it if you haven't, it's incredibly intense, has been doing. By the end of the film, we have one of the nurses giving one of the friends, a sketchy guy named Jude, played by Ross McCall, a pill that sends him completely off his head before leaving him to freak out in a darkened room, and people get their organs removed left and right, culminating in a scene that is crazy. There's no other word for it, really. We find out why Benway is doing what he's doing, and the desperation of it might be touching on some level if the movie wasn't so completely over the fucking top. The star of the piece is none other than the T-1000 himself, Robert Patrick, who plays Dr. Benway to a T. At once quirky, sinister, and completely out of his mind, with an interesting, shall we say, taste in beverages. The supporting cast includes Jeanette Goldstein, who played Vasquez in Aliens, and the lead girl, Emily, is played as convincingly as circumstances allow by Jessica Lowndes, who's better known from TV's 90210, Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, and a bunch of TV movies, one of which is called Kite Festival of Love, which might be one of the most ridiculous titles I've come across in recent years. The rest of the friends, the students, are played ably by Arkady Golubovich, Ross Cohn, and Ashley Schneider, with Michael Bowen and the always cool Robert Lasado playing the ex-con nurses. The usual tropes are present here. There's a tense moment where Emily steals the phone off one of the nurses while he's in the room. The cops get called, which ends in an amusing little standoff. There's a bit of a false ending, which comes before one that is slightly ambiguous, etc., etc. The effects in the film are pretty serviceable. They do the job, even making me wince on occasion. The music is pretty good. We open with The Mob Goes Wild by Clutch, for example, and the story is strong enough to more or less hold together for the relatively short runtime. At the end of the day, though, the feeling you get here more than any other is that the cast are having an absolute blast making this movie, and honestly it does look like it must have been fun. My one question is, how the fuck did they get Robert Patrick and Jeanette Goldstein on board? And all I can think of is they're good sports and they needed the money. Probably both, I would think. For all the gore, though, and the blunt force trauma and grinding of power tools, This is, in the end, a dark comedy, at least in my view. So, if you like shortish, gory, ham-filled fun and games while running around a scary hospital, this is well worth checking out. Just, don't expect it to be Citizen Kane. As always, however, and with all the above being said, please like, share, comment and subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers for watching, and bye for now.